Homemade gnocchi is easy and delicious, and if you avoid these 3 common mistakes, it'll turn out perfect for you every time. The first time I ever had gnocchi was actually in Italy. We have family over there. I wanted to replicate that when I got home. You just kind of like crave it. It's just delicious and filling and just so good. I swallowed my pride and called my mother-in-law. I have brushed up my gnocchi preparation and I'm bringing it here to you. Tip number 1, boil the potatoes with their skins on. I tried to make this a shortcut because I'm all about last minute, you know? And I diced them up thinking these are gonna cook so much faster. No, it doesn't work that way. The skins need to stay on so that the water ratio and the flour work out. Because what happens is they just absorb a whole lot of water and then you don't have the right consistency of the potato that you need. One of the tricks with gnocchi is not to use too much flour. And if you end up with too much water from taking the skin off your potatoes, you'll end up using twice the flour that is called for. Gnocchi that are hard and dense and just not how they are intended to be. Tip number 2, take the time to mash your potatoes. You can use a ricer or just your standard potato masher, but mash them till they're actually mashed with no lumps because texture matters. Don't be like me and just kind of mash to where you think, oh, this is pretty mashed, because if you do that, you'll end up with little hard lumps in your gnocchi. We want the gnocchi to be nice and smooth and almost velvety, which you're not gonna get if you have lumps in there. Make a well in the middle of your potatoes, get the egg right in, give it a little scramble to help it along before we start mixing this dough. 200 grams or about 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Get your hands in there and start mixing. Dig in there, get it all mixed until the dough is nice and smooth and everything is incorporated. We've got all the egg and the flour and everything's mixed in and it just becomes a dough. It's just gonna become a dough for you. When your dough looks about like this, it's nice and smooth and all compact, put it out on a floured board and just let it rest, covered for about 10 minutes. Now comes the fun part. Split up your dough, lightly flour the surface. Again, we don't want much more flour than what we already have in our dough, which is kind of hard to do because you want to add a lot of flour when you work with dough. That's just kind of what you do, but not with gnocchi. We'll start to roll it out, working from the center. It's really like kind of rolling a Play-Doh snake. Just apply even pressure, work your hands out. These are gonna puff up in the water. So make them a little smaller than the size that you want them to end as. With a straight edge like this scraper here, start making your cuts down your gnocchi. Tip number 3 involves your fork. The tines of your fork are used to make the pretty decoration to roll the gnocchi into their traditional classic shape and look. It's not just about being pretty. These little grooves are functional. They help grab the sauce so that each bite of gnocchi is fully flavored and delicious. Just a little dusting on your thumb and the fork will prevent the little gnocchi, little pillows from sticking, and you can press down gently and give it a roll off the edge of your fork, just like that. Set them on a lightly floured surface. Bring a pot of water to a boil. Add some salt. Let them cook until they float to the top of the water. Then let them continue to cook for about another minute. With a spider or slotted spoon, get them out of the water and immediately toss them in your favorite sauce or a bit of oil to prevent sticking. You don't have to make these marks with your fork. According to my mother-in-law, skipping the fork roll is the way of the continentale. That's what they say. You now have 3 time-saving tips to make delicious homemade gnocchi and have it on your table and get asked for seconds. This gnocchi, y'all, is delicious. Whatever sauce you like. See, I told you this was simple. For detailed instructions on making this gnocchi, sauces, vegan options, check out the show notes below. If you've made gnocchi before and one of these tips was an aha moment for you, I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Buon appetito. Ciao. So good.